talking about Maryland. Maryland's race, they're not quite as high profile as Virginia, but there are some elections going on there as well.
Yeah, so joining us live right now is Jessica Taylor, the Senate and Governor's editor at the Cook Political Report, who has made a career of reading the tea leaves, if you will, of U.S. elections and calling what matters. Jessica, thank you for being here with us on this election night.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so again, it is still early, but when you look at some of these early exit returns and early vote counts this evening in our region, what are the first signs you're looking for that might indicate a shift or surprise compared to some of the expectations?
Well, so far in Virginia and in the New Jersey governor's race that I'm also watching, it's pretty much in line with, I think, what we expected. We expect the Virginia race to, we rated the Virginia race as to go likely Democratic. The open New Jersey race there, slightly more competitive, but still leans Democratic. But in Virginia, the early exit polls that we've seen really show us that again, no surprise to your viewers that people were really heavily impacted by the federal job cuts, not just by the shutdown, but by sort of the ongoing DOGE and everything. Almost 6 in 10 voters, almost 60% of voters said that their family was impacted either a lot or a little. And then we had President Trump's approval ratings both very low, 41% in those exit polls. This is really the first chance that voters have to say, to send a message against Trump from when he was reelected a year ago. And so, again, I think the Virginia governor's race is going to be historic one way or the other, that it's going to be the first female governor. But really the only outstanding questions I have is sort of what is the margin going to be there? Does ticket splitting still happen because of that really extraordinary scandal that we've seen in the Virginia Attorney General's race? And then what is the margin in the House of Delegates that I think could tell us a lot about really the fight for the House of Representatives next year? If Democrats are winning back some pretty more friendly, redder territory, that could really sort of bode well, even as we see, fights over redistricting happening and seats that they need being cut down. That could really sort of bode well for their chances this time next year in 2026 as well.
Okay, so in the Senate and with the governor's landscape nationally, you've spent some years tracking the rating changes at CPR. Are there races that you believe tonight are the most vulnerable? And if so, why should viewers in the DMV care about those outcomes?
Again, I think for in the DMV, it really does to me come down to what is the margin in the House of Delegates? Are they able to expand to even 60 seats? Would just be, I think, a really great night for Democrats as we're looking in that regard. And is ticket splitting still happening in those races? In New Jersey, that is a race that is closer because you have the Republican there who's been on the ballot 3 times, Jack Ciattarelli. But he's also tied himself very closely to President Trump this time around. So, as we look at those races, those are really sort of the important ones. And, for Republicans that are going to try to, if this night doesn't go very well for them, they're going to want to point toward Zohran Mamdani in New York as sort of the face of the Democratic Party. But Democrats are going to want to point towards someone like Abigail Spanberger, a moderate Democrat, former CIA operative, and Mikey Sherrill, if she wins the governor's race in New Jersey there, who's a former Navy fighter pilot. So it really comes down to me about what kind of party do Democrats showcase going forward in 2026 as well.
All right, Jessica, so talking about coverage and issues here in the D.C. area, what should we be paying attention to that might be flying under the radar at this moment? And a lot of folks aren't giving it enough attention.
Well, it's simple, but the economy is the number one issue. But I also think that really, as we look at sort of the messages that Winsome Earle-Sears was telegraphing in her ads, focusing on, transgender issues in schools and different things, was that an effective message for President Trump? It was. But it was really because Kamala Harris had given him some running room on that. But I think that now the economic landscape is very different 1 year into this second Trump administration. And so, I was talking with with a Republican strategist today, and they were saying, really that she very much misread that this is not a social issues election, and that she should have even attacked Spanberger more on crime issues, tied her to, not voting to condemn stem DC crime changes and things like that, that would have been a more effective message, particularly perhaps even in Northern Virginia. So I think really if she loses as we expect, I think it really will have been because Winsome Earle-Sears did not have a good answer, I think, to the economy, to the way that federal workers were feeling under assault, and was at a time when the economy was so tantamount that she was focusing on social issues and not sort of the bread and butter issues of the economy.
All right, Jessica Taylor, the Senate and Governor's editor at the Cook Political Report. Thanks so much for